A very dominant theme found in my research on polymaths is that one of the great strengths that a polymath develops as a result of their polymathy is an ability to connect with many different types of people. The rationale that the participants gave me for this was that essentially they, as a polymath, have a broad base of experiences and knowledge, which just makes it easier to find common ground with people, for example, someone they are just meeting for the first time. Being a polymath may mean that friends or colleagues one has are more diverse in terms of interests and capabilities as well. Wendy summarized these sentiments. She said, quote, "In any group of people, in any setting, I can find a thing to talk about. I can find a way to connect with literally anyone. It certainly has made my friend group pretty awesome. I have an orthogonal network to the one that most people have. So I think my polymathy kind of broadens just from a social capital point of view, who I can bring to the table. Whether it's connections or just you're looking for an expert or a resource or job offer or whatever it is, I can sort of bring in a different set of lenses. I have an incredible emotional intelligence that allowed me to read people and read groups and, read a room because, I sort of mentioned you feel like you have multiple identities as a polymath, and you do." End quote. Similarly, because a polymath can employ multiple ways of understanding the world, several polymaths that I interviewed said that they can figure out how someone else thinks even if they do not think the same way themselves, if they disagree. And this puts them in a good position to be able to interact effectively with that person. Trinity said, quote, "Being able to learn people. I can learn a person and figure out how they think and why they think and be able to interact with them on a level where they're comfortable. And I don't see that as being non-authentic. I just see that as using data to be able to have a better interaction. And so I think part of that excelling is because I can interact with people on the logical level, if that's how they are, and I can interact with people on a feeling or artsy level, and it's authentic in both worlds." End quote. This ability also adds a level of richness to the polymath's social life because of the broad social milieu with which they can engage. Kevin said, "It makes for an interesting life. I am able to have a meaningful engagement with a pretty broad group of people that I guess most people don't have as many different subgroups to be part of. I think there are some intangible benefits that are associated with understanding something about whatever's going on in the world or amongst your friends and being able to participate with them. There's not a whole lot of things that I don't have some familiarity with, and I like engaging with people. So that's on a day-to-day basis, I guess. That's probably the greatest benefit is I feel very comfortable engaging with folks wherever they are." End quote. At the same time, the downside of their polymathy regarding social settings is it can be frustrating at times when interacting with other people who have had a more narrow, limited view of issues. Levi said, quote, "Sometimes it's frustrating because I see things in ways people don't. And to me, certain things are obvious, and I get frustrated when people don't see them." End quote. Hunter made a similar comment. He said, quote, "I find myself getting much more quickly frustrated in situations with people who are extremely narrowly educated. There's the narrowness of experience, and then there's being narrow-minded. And they're not a perfect overlap, but there is some of that Venn diagram there. And I think it's generally super unhelpful." End quote. Another consideration is how polymaths fit in socially. While on one hand, they can find common ground with anybody to connect with or talk about, they also feel like they don't fit in necessarily. This is the paradox of the polymath. They can connect socially with anybody, but never feel like they fit in completely in a social group. What's more, they do not necessarily find many other people who are like they are. Sadly, several participants I interviewed talked about being teased and bullied as children, not fitting in with others even from a young age. Trinity said that this sort of bleak reality pushed her even more into her mind as a child. Sebastian, who was also bullied as a child, was inspired to achieve excellence as a sort of revenge against those who had hurt him. Most interviewees did say that they enjoy associating, whether professionally or personally, with other polymaths. Some of them seek out other polymaths, while others said they don't. Regardless, being able to spend time around other polymaths is something that helped some interviewees feel more comfortable with their polymathy and comfortable in general, like they could be more of their real selves around others who have similar polymathic tendencies. Polymath to polymath, social milieus were described overall as being deeper than relationships with non-polymaths. Being with other polymaths also provides an opportunity to learn from someone who might also be fascinating as well, given their unique experiences and perspectives. Caroline said, quote, "Yes, I do associate with other polymaths because I like people who are interested in lots of things and who are interested enough to pursue them deeply," end quote. Similarly, Svetlana said, quote, "Meeting people that are a very interesting combination, and I'm immediately drawn to them," end quote. Polymaths do also, of course, associate with non-polymaths. Relationships with non-polymaths often require some degree of self-censorship, which is a sort of burden that a polymath may have to navigate. On the other hand, some polymaths preferred to spend time with single-issue specialists because those are the people they said that they could learn from the most. In fact, Carl said, quote, "The polymath is sort of the parasite of the expert. I am drawn to people that are really, really good at one thing. I would much rather learn a lot about somebody who is at the top of their field than to talk with somebody else who's dabbled in a lot of different stuff," end quote. It seems naturally, then, that there are both benefits and drawbacks for a polymath to engage with others who are also polymathic versus people who are not.